Hello everyone, it's Cleo here, and today we're going to be talking about how I have watched every single My Little Pony movie, so you don't have to. Since My Little Pony was launched all the way back in the 1980s, there have been many animated films and series episodes, all with varying levels of success and quality. Today specifically, I'm going to be looking at the specials released over the years that have a runtime of 40 minutes or more, with the exception of the first two LP films, and excluding Christmas specials because it's August and I'm really not ready for Christmas stuff until late November. I'll give a recap and my thoughts on each one released from then until now and rank them all in order at the end. Let's go.
But it's dangerous, Firefly! Danger is my life, Deadly! Firefly, look out!
First up, we have the very first time My Little Pony was ever animated, a special short film called Rescue at Midnight Castle. Technically, this doesn't qualify as a feature-length film, but it feels too important to leave out from this list. The story opens with the ponies playing and minding their business, when all of a sudden they're attacked by monsters, which feels as sudden when you're watching it as it sounds. The monsters fly in and kidnap 4 ponies to take them away to the titular Midnight Castle. Firefly, seemingly being the only pony with any guts at all, flies off to find help. After flying for not very long at all, she finds a human girl called Megan, tending to her non-talking, non-colourful, totally normal pony. It seems to be implied that this is the world we humans live in, but it's not very clear, and it's definitely not clear how Firefly got there. Now, you'd think a talking pony coming up to a kid asking her to save the day might scare her a bit, or at very least take some time to adjust to, and that she might even have some questions. But she doesn't really. Megan is a bit surprised, but she gets over it very quickly, and is kind of kidnapped by Firefly and pushed into flying to the ponies land on Firefly's back and saving a crowd of horses she doesn't even know. Megan is a great girl though, and after she makes it to Ponyland and is heckled by the monster kidnappers, she heads to the Midnight Castle with a crew of ponies in an effort to save the ones who were kidnapped earlier. Applejack falls into the water on the way there, and for some reason Megan dives in to save her as if she could do any better, as they sink to the bottom of the sea, like lead weights. The sea ponies come in to save them. Their song is cute, but good grief, is it random? Actually, all the songs in this film feel very random. Meanwhile, the satanic villain of this film, T-Rack, has the baby pony Ember taken to a dungeon to just, sit there with Spike, the baby dragon, who he keeps around for some reason. Also, for some reason, he needs a chariot. For some reason, needs ponies to tug his chariot. For some reason, he needs 4. For some reason, he needs to turn them into dragons. For some reason, it has to be before midnight. And for some reason, they have to be fully grown. Then, for some reason, his main goon develops a conscience and no longer wants to help T-Rack with his goals, despite being the one who kidnapped the ponies in the first place. For this mutiny, T-Rack threatens to behead Spike if the goon doesn't continue to do his dirty work. It seems very dark for this show, but then again, the whole Demon King in this scary castle seems pretty dark. The ponies finally make it to some random little-known man in the woods who says that to defeat T-Rack, they need to take away his rainbow of darkness, whatever a dark rainbow is. After the little weirdo fumbles around for ages looking for the MacGuffin to help the ponies, he finally finds a locket with a light rainbow in it, as opposed to the dark rainbow. After this, the gang makes it to the Midnight Castle only to find there is a moat around it which they can't cross. But no worry, for no good reason whatsoever, the sea ponies are there too. Somehow they made it from a main body of water to a moat. Anyway, being the helpful little songstresses they are, they of course assist the ponies and Megan across the moat and into the castle. As the girls make it inside, that goon from earlier frees Spike and Ember, but Applejack gets caught and turned into a dragon. She's just so useless that it's a wonder the others even let her come along for the rescue mission. The goon, Scorpan as he's actually called, attacks T-Rack's guards and runs outside with Megan and the ponies, but now that he has the 4 ponies turned into dragons, T-Rack can ride his chariot of darkness, T-Rack nearly kills Scorpan, while Megan rides Firefly and knocks the rainbow of darkness out of T-Rack's hand. The ponies fight T-Rack's guards over the rainbow of darkness, but in the end, T-Rack gets it back. Megan finally thinks to use the rainbow of light, which does nothing at first. T-Rack uses his magic thingy on their magic thingy, but the good guy's magic thingy kicks it into gear and fights back. It overpowers the Dark Rainbow and destroys T-Rack. Everything T-Rack transformed with the Rainbow of Darkness is restored to its original state, including the ponies and Scorpan, whose original form is a human prince. What? Where the hell did he come from then? I thought there weren't people here. No questions this guy raises are ever answered. Firefly takes a totally unaffected Megan back home. The end. This short film manages to pack a surprising amount of plot into its very brief 20 minutes. It's actually enough for a feature-length film, so I can't say it's short on content. The real question is, how good is the content? We have to understand cartoons weren't the same in the 80s as they are now. There wasn't such an expectation for strong characters and well-thought-out plots. This film does very much feel like a child playing with their ponies and making up a rather crazy story as they go along, which at its best is quite charming, but at its worst is just not very clever. Despite being called My Little Pony, the ponies don't really get to say very much and are all very similar and baby-like in character. I'm not really a fan of Megan being like a mum to them all, or even having a human character at all. That's not how I played with my ponies when I was a child. There were no humans, and the ponies weren't stupid in my games. Maybe other kids like to play mother to their ponies, or play with their dolls and their ponies together. I don't know. I think that the writers at very least imagined this to be the case. Ultimately, this isn't a fantastic short film at all, but at least it has constant stuff going on.
The rainbow saved us. It protected us again. Good work, Rainbow.
Secondly, we have the oddball special, Escape from Katrina. So another escape story. This is a sequel to the previous short, so it continues with the same characters. It opens with the ponies preparing Ponyland for Megan visiting. It's never explained why she's coming, or how they find her again, and they definitely don't explain why the ponies treat Megan like a god. Anyhow, while the ponies continue to prepare, some others are playing some kind of football game. One of the ponies stupidly kicks the ball into the ominous cave they've chosen to play by for some reason. The ball rolls into the cave to reveal that inside is, wait for it, a slave camp. And that's not just me being over the top. The characters call themselves slaves. Let me explain. Inside this cave lives the titular Katrina, an evil furry lady. Meow. Her henchmen called Rep, and the oddball sentient pieces of fluff called the Bush Woolies, who happen to be the slaves. Their slave labor is needed to produce witchweed potion, which gives the evil furry wizard lady her magic powers, yeah. While it is implied the Bush Woolies have been slaves for a while now, for some reason, today is the day they're sick of it. They decide to leave, and manage to do so very easily. Really easily. Even though the henchman, Rep, pleads with them, and the hot furry mama threatens them, they're still determined to go. When Katrina falls asleep, they leave without a scratch, or so much as having to leave someone behind. They literally walk right out. Which really raises the question, why didn't you do that all along, guys? But you guessed it. There's no answer available to that query. Meanwhile, Megan arrives in Ponyland and really randomly decides it's time to take the baby ponies to the nursery, sing a song and settle them into bed. It has no connection to the greater plot. Buy our toys. Mama Furry and her goon are on the lookout for the runaway slaves when they stumble upon the ponies. Katrina, for some reason, decides only now to try and enslave the ponies instead. You'd think, given the cave's extreme close proximity to the ponies' favourite hangout spot, she'd have thought of this sooner, but no. She magics up a blizzard to catch the ponies in snow, which is surprisingly effective. Not to worry though, Megan still has the rainbow magic from the last film, and she uses that to stop the blizzard. Somehow. Cat Lady and her goon retreat and plan to steal the rainbow locket. Meanwhile, the ponies seem to have immediately got over their ordeal from earlier and are having a costume party for no reason. Like a complete idiot, after one of the baby ponies whines and moans about not having a costume, Megan gives her a crown and a cloak, and her superpowered locket, which is the only thing that can protect these idiots from an actual literal slaver. Naturally, as you do, Megan leaves this baby pony unaccompanied on the way to the party. And, naturally, the bad guys kidnap her for the locket. After some time has passed, Megan's like, probably shouldn't have left that whiny baby alone. Should probably look for her. Instead of finding the pony, of course, she finds the newly freed Bush Woolies. They tell her about Katrina and lead Megan and the ponies to the cat cave. Katrina, of course, tries to force them into slavery by threatening the baby, but the goon suddenly develops a conscience and refuses to allow her to do so. After being knocked into a huge gaping drain in the cave, Katrina begs and pleads for help as she grapples onto the edge for what seems like dear life. Our heroes ask if she She promises to be good. And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever you say. Wait for it. They agree to help her. And she's nice now. The end. This story is nothing short of absolute crack. Nothing makes any sense whatsoever. But to me that makes it almost quite funny, just for the absurdity. It's not a good cartoon, but it's not boring. Rather, a lot goes down in 20 minutes, and although the film does make it so a literal slave driver is redeemed in one go, you have to laugh. The third film is the very first feature-length pony movie. It's a continuation of the story from the previous shorts. You should have watched those first to understand what's going on in this film, but it's not that important, because you'll be just as confused either way. My Little Pony the Movie Mark 1 opens with ponies goofing off as usual, just having a cool time by their castle. Baby Lickety Split is rehearsing a dance for the upcoming show festival thing, when all of a sudden we switch the point of view to 3 weird witch ladies, a mum and her 2 daughters. The girls aren't allowed to call her mama, but the mother goes on to refer to herself as mother in her song. Yes, she gets a song, and it's all about how she wishes that her girls were as evil as her own parents were. Okay. Mother Witch sends the girls to go and ruin the ponies' festival for the sole reason of giving them a hard time. Meanwhile, the baby ponies have their dance routine on the stage before an audience. But being the main character she is, Baby Lickety Split comes out in one of those 80s aerobic leotards and does a very different dance to everyone else. Everyone is super mean to her for doing this, which makes her cry, and it does seem very cruel. I mean, she was already unlucky enough to be called Lickety Split, but at the same time she was being a big-time narcissist for trying to steal the limelight all for herself like that. Our little drama queen runs off having her big moment, singing that she's going to run away since the others don't appreciate her. She's supposed to be sad, but you can just tell she's loving every minute of this drama. We go back to the witches who are looking through their spellbook for something to cause trouble. Very fittingly, they settle on the word dank. Their plans fail to launch, and like absolute girl bosses, the ponies call them cute and laugh at them. Surprisingly gangster. After their failure, the witch mum sends the girls out again, this time to fetch an ingredient for the smooze, which we're told is something that wiped out a whole kingdom before. Yikes. The witches get another song, this time about how afraid they are to get this ingredient for some reason. After the god-awful number they perform, they decide to just not bother getting the ingredient and make the smooze without it. Meanwhile, the ponies are out looking for Baby Lickety Split, who is such a main character that she thinks she can fly. The witch mum, meanwhile, combines the ingredients for the smooze in the volcano she lives by, and out erupts the purple goop that is the smooze. It hurtles straight towards the search party of ponies and hits Bart Simpson, Gusty. She suddenly goes into a foul mood, which, according to the others, is a normal phenomenon when you get smoozed. They work out immediately that it's the witches who did it. This, of course, implies that this has happened to the ponies at least once before, but it's never touched on again, so... As it is seemingly their go-to plan when things go wrong, some Pegasus ponies go to, you guessed it, Megan's place to ask for help! This time they take her little brother and sister too. They're also not surprised by these talking ponies, and nor is the regular non-talking pony the children own. The witches get another song, this time just about how awesome the smooze is. At this point, I think it's fair to say the witches are the main characters of this film. Megan unleashes the rainbow of light, but the smooze just kind of grabs it. The goop, however, is frozen in place by the rainbow even if it hasn't been destroyed. Megan sings a song about finding another rainbow, and the witch's mum finds out that the girls didn't have the last ingredient. Because I guess if it did, the smooze wouldn't have been stopped, it's not really explained. So she sends them out to get it for real this time. To get it, they wrestle with a murderous plant and succeed in getting some secretion from it for the potion. Megan and the ponies go back to the weird elf man in the woods again and ask for another rainbow. He's like, nah, can't help you, babes. But Megan says that if the dream castle is still covered in smooze, the ponies have nowhere to live. He sings a song about how they should just live somewhere else. They reject his ideas until he comes up with an idea to cast a spell and make them a new one. It's the Paradise Estate. Only $60 at your nearest toy store. The ponies aren't having it, so the elf man is like, alright then, here's a map to some other product placement that might help you. Meanwhile, the witches reactivate the smooze, and also meanwhile, Baby Lickety Split, the main character queen herself, finds some weird troll dudes. Remember that kingdom the witches destroyed with the Smoos before? Well, those are the people who used to live there. Refugees now. Meanwhile, some more ponies are happily inspecting how awesome the Paradise Estate is. Megan and the crew follow the map, which leads them to having to traverse some giant sunflowers. The Smoos is reactivated now, though, and nearly gets Megan. They carry on with their quest, though. It's okay. Baby Lickety-Split and the Troll Peeps look for the Dream Castle, and our main character girl has another self-indulgent song about how hard done by she is. She finds a flutter pony inside a well, which happens to be the kind of ponies that Megan is looking for. The fluttery pony says she will lead them to Flutter Valley too. The folks on the quest have to go through a scary forest now, and the trees come to life to attack them for no reason at all. They just, run away from them though and make it to Flutter Valley, only to find the witch's evil pet that she set on them. The spider thing gets distracted by some gum for some reason, best known to itself, and the gang just tickles him until he breaks his own web. Megan has to be saved again, which really makes you wonder why these ponies keep asking for her help. Anyway, they finally make it to the Flutter Ponies and ask for their help in defeating the kingdom-destroying Smoos. The Queen of the Flutter Ponies confirms that she can totally do that, but she just says no. She wants to be left alone. Damn those babies with nowhere to live, am I right? Somehow, despite starting their journey to Flutter Ponyland way later, baby main character and her crew make it there just moments after Megan's crew. It literally takes the Flutter Pony saved from the well and our super main character baby begging the Queen to help her to agree. Just as the Smoos is about to swallow the Paradise Estate whole, the Flutter Ponies and the rest of the enormous cast make it there to save them. The way the Flutter Ponies do this, though, is by fluttering the Smoos away. It's literally just by flying, which is what they do all day, every day. Regardless, this works so quickly that the witches are swept away and the Rainbow of Light is freed from the Smoos. It scoops up the last of the Smoos and the witches and chucks them into the volcano. For some reason, while everything the Smoos has touched this time is fine, after just being fluttered at, apparently the Trolls' Kingdom is beyond help. Despite it only being the Smoos that ruined it, so shouldn't this work? But don't worry, there's a solution. The ponies literally just give them the Dream Castle to live in, because now they have the way better Paradise Estate instead. The end. Gosh, what a terrible movie. It's disjointed, unbelievably boring, meandering, repetitive, unfunny, bloated, and worst of all, hardly has any ponies in it per minute of screen time. Between the witches, the trolls, the bushwoolies, the elfman, and the humans, there's no room for the thing you came for. I could get behind the silliness of the 20-minute short films, but they took the plot of one of those and found a way to agonizingly stretch it to 80 minutes. It's a really, really bad advert for toys. I'm quite certain the 7-year-old children playing with these ponies in '86 made up better stories than this drivel. Everything from the songs to the characters is rubbish. If you want to watch some G1 cartoon nostalgia, don't make it this. I had to suffer through it, don't you suffer too?
It's an ugly thing. A horrible, disgraceful, horrible, ugly thing. I can't even say it.
Our next film was made a whole 20 years after the previous one, and even skips a generation of My Little Pony. This is because Generation 2 ponies were such a big fat flop in America that they didn't even try their luck with making a cartoon for it. So we skipped Generation 3, and with it a whole new cinematic universe, which is basically the same as Generation 1, but without any of the more exciting elements. But they did get rid of the humans and other random creatures, so that's something. This particular 50-minute special is called The Princess Promenade. Just like in the beginning of the previous film, the ponies are preparing for spring. The breezy ponies, who appear to basically be equine fairies, are planting seeds, and everyone in Ponyville is just really super hyped for spring, which I understand. The main three breezes are corny, even for something called My Little Pony The Princess Promenade. There's more gardening with the breezies and the regular ponies, another song about being besties and how awesome flowers are, which once again I appreciate, but it's genuinely the most uneventful story I may have ever watched. Just when the garden is looking perfect, actually it really does, the backgrounds are super pretty. Wisteria, who is just rarity for all intents and purposes, spots a weed in the garden. She and Pinkie Pie try to dig it up, only to dig a hole through to a cave, which they fall into. Down there, they find none other than Spike the Dragon, who literally has the worst recast maybe ever. Apparently the ponies have disturbed him from his 1,000-year sleep, but he's chill with that. He gives Wisteria a magic flower, because apparently if you touch it, you own it. Also, apparently he stinks and the ponies want to give him a wash, but they're super polite about it. Until they hide him from the other ponies before he's bathed. I mean, ouch. They just don't want him to be seen. He doesn't want to wash, but the ponies don't really give him a choice and sing a song about how much better he'll look once he's clean. Once he's washed, he's presented to the ponies to great applause, actually. He then reveals that his duty is to guard and teach the new princess, for some reason. He also grants the princess 3 wishes for some reason, but that never happens. Then again, for some reason, the princess is whoever touched the flower. So Wisteria is the princess now, the ponies quickly figure. All of a sudden, despite the obvious meaninglessness of the title, the others treat Wisteria very differently. And while all she wants to do is plan the spring fair festival thing, Spike says princesses don't do that. Once again, for some reason. She apparently needs to have ladies in waiting now. Okay. The Breezies prepare some more, while Spike teaches Wisteria some dubious and really boring lessons. They managed literally 1,000 years without a princess. Why does anyone think this is necessary? Everyone is preparing floats and bickering, but not too much. Everyone's still being nicey-nicey. Wisteria is princessing and Spike is being a pain in the flank. He won't let her do anything and the others finally start to miss her help. Because everyone but Wisteria is a bit crap at preparing stuff, she goes to fix up their floats. From this, she works out that she doesn't want to be a princess anymore. She comes to the conclusion that she can just tell Spike that she's in charge, basically. But she tells him in the most polite way possible so as to make sure nothing even remotely mean happens in this film. She stays a princess, but does what she always does and says that she's making everyone a princess and they all magically get new dresses. The end. This is the most boring story ever. Literally nothing happens. There's nothing to even make fun of. It's flowers and princesses and the most annoying Spike ever. There is nothing interesting whatsoever. It's just pretty. That's it. In that way, this is far worse than even the full-length movie. But at least it has ponies as the focus. It manages that. Why it's so determined to have nothing happen, I don't know. Kids like bad guys. People in general like there to be a story. It's almost impressive that they managed to drag a plotless non-story out for a whole 50 minutes of tedium.
Got all your charts and graphs.
Oh, thank goodness you're here, Spike. I'm just so nervous about this meeting.
What you talking about?
The next film is back to the feature-length form. It's My Little Pony the Movie Mark II. This one, oddly, is a sequel to the Friendship is Magic series made for My Little Pony Generation 4. By the time this film was released in 2017, there were 7 whole seasons to watch to fully understand the lore in this film. With this being the case, while this film is so much more aspirational than the previous Pony movies that it's practically in a different league, it's also a very strange entry point for a series, which is an odd choice to say the least, as surely the whole point of sending this film to cinemas was to gather new fans. Anyhow, the film opens with, you guessed it, the ponies preparing for a festival. This appears now to just be pony movie tradition. The animation and backgrounds are vastly more detailed though, and the music and voice direction far more sophisticated. The story starts with Princess Twilight wanting to make her Festival of Friendship perfect for all the ponies. So she goes to the more important princesses to tell them to use their magic to make the music show extra dope, with cool lighting effects from the literal sun and moon being moved. They're of course like, no way fam, you're the Princess of Friendship, this is your job, shoo shoo. True to pony cliché, the other main characters are prepping for the festival, but with much more distinct personalities than before. It's still not an interesting story idea. At least Spike is cute again though. By this point in the story, given that the show has had stories with them for 7 years at this point, all the ponies are pretty much just flanderized. Twilight is worried about being good enough to be a princess, which she has been over and over for years now. They sing a song about how they can totally do it, then pop star Pony comes along. Before any more partying can happen, a huge storm comes in, and with it, a spaceship? It lands, and opens to reveal an evil little hedgehog dude and Darth Emo Pony. This is very reminiscent to the Angry Birds movie and the pigs arriving, but I digress. Edgy OC Pony Do Not Steal tells the princess to surrender to her. Just like that, no preamble. Princess Luna makes the very good point that Emo Edgy can't win, but then she just brings in an evil gorilla army? No explanation where they came from. Then My Chemical Romance's biggest fan uses her crazy karate moves to kick bomb things into the princesses. These turn them into stone. I'll bet all the other villains the ponies have faced wish they had those. With the strongest plot armor you've ever seen, Twilight and her bezies escape this fate and run away. They fall down a waterfall and the gorilla soldiers won't follow them down there. The ponies then wash up on the shore and Twilight says that she heard Celestia telling Luna to go and find some other queen of hippos or something that no one's ever mentioned before. All of our mains go with her on this quest to somewhere. Meanwhile, Goth Girl gets a magic phone call from her boss, who's apparently called the Storm King. How he has a whole kingdom the ponies don't know about, we don't know. Anyhow, he explains via exposition dump that he's running this show and Darth Emo is only helping him because he promises he can make her broken horn grow back, if she succeeds in helping him take over. Fatso the Hedgehog then reveals that he hasn't caught Twilight, and then Edgelord reveals that she can't power the Storm King's magic stick without all 4 princesses, for some reason. With this, she goes out to track down Twilight herself. Somehow, the main band of ponies find themselves wandering through an endless expanse of desert, which is something that might just happen when you have no map. They find an oddball city where there are no ponies. Oh, come on! There's instead a bunch of random lizards, some Pokemon things, and Star Wars background characters, and a talking cat. Why? What was the earthly point of making him an actual furry? Pinkie Pie makes a scene, and all the random weirdos want to buy the ponies themselves? What? The furry saves them and says he will help them find the queen they're looking for. He has a really fun song and his voice actor is fantastic, but why? Why make him a furry? He could have just been a pony and the story would have been the same. Hey, maybe he's Katrina's son. Of course, he's not helping them at all, and he just sells them out to some random pig man. But before they can be sold, Emo Lady finds them. Once again, they escape, and this time they stow away on a flying pirate ship. Okay, that's fine, pirate ponies could be— oh, damn it, why did they have to be birds? This is called My Little Pony. Anyway, apparently these angry birds are enslaved by the Storm King, so while they'll let the ponies stay on board, they won't help them to the mountain Twilight figured out they needed to get to from a book Mr. Furry conveniently had lying around. They used to be pirates, and although piracy is hardly a worthwhile or helpful career option, Rainbow Dash is convinced that this is the coolest thing ever and gets everyone to sing a song about how they should be pirates again. Like a complete idiot, Rainbow Dash finishes this number with a sonic rainboom, which of course alerts the bad guys to their presence. The bad guys find them again, but of course the ponies escape again, this time in a makeshift hot air balloon, and the bad guys start following them again. The girls make it to the mountain, but it looks completely deserted. They hear music coming from the water and then get sucked into it by a whirlpool. Under the waves, magically, they receive bubbles around their heads, like SpongeBob at Sandy's place. And the character who had been singing reveals herself to be a princess who is also a sea pony. She takes them to her mother, the Queen, after hearing about the Storm King. They're led to the very pretty underwater sea pony kingdom where they meet a very grumpy queen. The princess explains that they are the hippogriffs the ponies have been looking for, but the Storm King attacked their kingdom, forcing them to retreat underwater and take on an alternate sea pony form. I don't really know why it needed that complication, but at least they're not random furries. The Queen then reveals to the ponies the magic pearl that is able to turn them into sea ponies, and turns our main cast into sea ponies too. Twilight wants to use this magic pearl and its very mysterious power to defeat the Storm King, but the Queen obviously won't let her. The princess seems to be lacking in friends, so while the others just want to get on with their mission, Pinkie Pie wants to cheer her up. She succeeds easily by singing a really happy, cute song. Twilight is absent though, as she's hatched up a plan to steal the pearl. It all ends in tears when this is discovered, just before she can nab it. This is just as they were about to give it to the ponies anyway for being so nice. After this betrayal, the Queen kicks them out of the kingdom. Understandably, no one is happy with Twilight. For some reason, Twilight thinks she's justified in yelling at her friends about this, which seems very out of character after so many years of development, but okay. She separates from the group, and while she's feeling sorry for herself, obviously she gets kidnapped by Darth Emo. While she has Twilight in a tiny little cage, Goth Girl sings a song about why she's evil. And it's basically just because she wasn't popular growing up. Yeah, well, neither was Twilight. Meanwhile, the cast of weird furries come back to help the rest of the main ponies, and the princess comes back to help too. Back in Canterlot, all the population is literally muzzled and chained up, which seems excessive, even for these baddies. For some reason, the Storm King and his gothic accomplice aren't turning Twilight to stone right away, even though they're all right there. He keeps her perfectly animated while he steals her magic. She escaped them many times just today, so you'd think he'd want to be secure and not letting her get away again. Gosh, that plot armor is thick. The Storm King now has all the princess's magic in his stick, and the big idiot uses it to wreck some stuff and play with the sun and moon, all while refusing to restore Emo's horn. Mr. Furry sneaks the gang back into Canterlot and everyone starts fighting the gorilla dudes. Before they can get to the castle though, the Storm King makes a giant storm. He has the power of gods, and he wants an endless thunderstorm. That's his goal. For some reason, while Edgy OC is being swept away by the storm, Twilight saves her and calls her a friend. Why? The pirate birds meanwhile use a cannon to shoot the ponies up into the castle, and they knock the Storm King off his feet and the staff out of his hand. The storm hasn't stopped though, and Twilight finally agrees to stop this thing together. Twilight gets swept away by the storm, but somehow comes back down again with the staff. The Storm King is still alive though, and he finds a way back up the castle. The other side of the castle somehow. And throws one of those stone bombs at the girls. Seriously, he could have just used that on Twilight earlier, he had them all along. Edgelord has a change of heart and throws herself in front of the bomb, thus deflecting it onto herself and the Storm King. He falls to the ground and smashes to pieces, and Twilight uses her magic to save her from the same fate. Twilight then uses the staff to unstonify her. Then Emo Girl helps to use the magic staff to make Canterlot back to normal and unfreeze the princesses. The festival starts and everyone parties. Twilight invites Tempest to be friends with her now and says that her horn is totally cool as it is. The end. While this film is clearly the best production on this list so far, it doesn't mean it's without its problems, as I've made very clear already. It's quite repetitive, doesn't add up in a lot of places, and worst of all, isn't as good as many of the earlier episodes of the much cheaper TV series it's based on. The disappointment doesn't come from the fact that it's bad, because it's not. The disappointment really comes from the fact that I know that it could have been a lot better. If I could change only one thing though, I'd make Kappa into a pony.
Great! We're playing that game now?
No! I really do spy a rainbow!
Our next film is another Generation 4 story, but this time it's just a TV movie rather than a theatrical release. It's in the same style as the previous movie though. It's called Rainbow Road Trip, and the story opens up with a pretty bland song about how awesome a rainbow road trip will be. Rainbow Dash has received an invitation to, you guessed it, a festival! Literally, all these films seem to start with a festival of some kind. Anyway, this one is a rainbow festival, which makes it very different to a spring or a friendship festival. The main girls all take a hot air balloon to the town they're having the shindig at, which means it isn't really a road trip, but okay. Rainbow Dash brags on about how she's so popular in this town, I guess just for being rainbowy. Night eventually starts to fall, and it looks like they're lost until they see a rainbow. But it turns out just to be a big billboard that looks like one. This of course ignores the fact that rainbows can't appear at night, and a cardboard sign wouldn't be very visible, but never mind. They crash into it and hurtle down towards the ground. They're fine, but their hot air balloon is wrecked. Not to worry though, they've accidentally landed in the town they're supposed to be in. It seems abandoned and they can't find anyone. Eventually they find someone, but she looks very grey. She happens to run their hotel and shows them to their one room. It's a wreck, and the girls are a bit suspicious of how this place is being run. It's never really explained why the hotel is such a wreck, by the way, it just is. They go out the next morning to find more ponies, but everyone is grey and staring at them because they're not. Why these ponies are so unaware of the rest of the wider world being in colour is never explained either. Regardless, these ponies are all seemingly in a bad or down mood. Finally, the mayor greets them and says how happy he is to see them and have the festival go ahead. The mayor, Sunny Skies, takes them on a tour of the town. The festival events are lame as hell or non-existent, and the mayor admits that the folks have just given up. The girls point out his lies, and he explains that his grandfather had set up the festival and built a rainbow generator to fill the sky with colour. For some reason, which is also never explained, the citizens completely lost interest in the festival and just fun in general. So the mayor tried to soup up the rainbow generator to make a bigger rainbow to make ponies interested again. But it didn't work, and instead seemingly sucked all the colour out of them. I mean, it seems like these boring old fart ponies wouldn't know the difference, but either way, the main six agree to help the mayor to bring the colour back. Rainbow Dash meets some twins who are huge fans of hers, somehow, and with their joy at hanging out with her, some colour returns to this desperately boring backdrop. Applejack does some DIY with the DIY pony, brings some colour back. Rarity helps the designer pony and brings some colour back, and Twilight heads to the library to try and find a solution. Meanwhile, Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy help to show some of these dumb ponies how to make a pie. Apparently, thanks to the lack of colour, they can't tell the ripe fruit from the unripe fruit, but seemingly these idiots nuts, can't just feel the fruit for softness instead. More frustrating than this is that this couple moved to this miserable town from Manhattan. They got there when things were good, but stayed. For some reason. Why doesn't everyone here just move somewhere else? Never answered. Fluttershy convinces their neighbour to give them his good apricots in exchange for the couple making him a pie, thus teaching these dumbos a basic lesson about trade. Twilight figures that if they just fix the machine, the colour will come back to the town, but after they fix the generator, the colour still doesn't come back. Surprise, surprise, these miserable jerks' attitude is responsible for their situation, not the machine. As the girls encourage everyone to be kind, the colour starts to return. This implies that literally no one is nice, ever, even though we can see the mayor and the hotelier are always nice and kind. Why doesn't their goodness count? Anyway, once everyone is colourful again, the festival is officially reborn. Twilight gets some rainbow wings and she'll be for sale at your nearest Walmart for $30. Rainbow Dash, the rainbow pony, does not get rainbow wings. The end. This film is boring. It is what could have been a 20-minute episode of FIM, and a boring one at that, stretched out to a whole hour. It goes in slow motion and has nothing different or interesting or exciting to offer. Worst of all, a film called Rainbow Road Trip is grey for almost all of it. Of course, the lack of any colour in this film makes it even more visually boring to sit through. Go back, watch the first 3 seasons of the show, skip this, thank me later. Our next film is the first outing for the latest generation of ponies, number 5. This film was originally going to be released in cinemas, but was instead sold to Netflix due to, unforeseen worldwide circumstances. The film opens up with a very corny version of the Generation 4 ponies. Rarity all of a sudden starts being evil, and it's revealed that it's our new 3D ponies playing with G4 pony dolls. According to the little brat Sprout, unicorns and Pegasus ponies are all evil and wrong. His mum has obviously taught him all his prejudice, and she actually yells at Sunny's dad to his face for thinking the other pony kinds are maybe not so bad. Sunny does a cute little drawing of the different pony kinds together and sends it off with the message that they have friends in her hometown of Maritime Bay. We flash forward to the future, and now Sunny not only mysteriously doesn't have a mum, she also mysteriously no longer has a dad either. She doesn't let this get her down though, and she starts singing a cute little pop ditty about how she's not like other girls. Today's the day she's going to make a difference and get these prejudiced jerks to see that they're wrong. She makes it to some factory where they make the traps to catch Pegasus and unicorn ponies. Before she can go ahead with her protest, however, her own best friend, who is now the sheriff, stops her. He apparently does this every single year. Of course, Sunny finds a way in and goes ahead with her protest, and this weird tech demo. Clearly, this doesn't go down well, as this tech demo seems to have a bigger fanbase and more enthusiasm for it than a pop concert. The tech, of course, treats her like it would the perceived threat ponies, and they have to shut it down before it goes any further. All the ponies are very scared about what's going to happen to Sunny, despite the fact that they don't like her, which really begs the question, what the hell does that machine do in the end? Hitch is pretty ticked off with her once they get out of there, and Sunny insists if he helped he could do something to change their prejudice, but he refuses, citing the age-old argument that this is how it is. Before we can ruminate too long on how real that is, ponies start running away in a blind panic. A cutesy little unicorn has made it to their town. Everyone is legitimately terrified, and they brand it an attack immediately. Meanwhile, the unicorn is oblivious to the panic and thinks it's a game. Sunny takes her away from the bedlam in the town to her house, where we learn that she doesn't actually have any magic. Despite her enthusiasm for the other pony races, Sunny still has a lot of incorrect, preconceived ideas about unicorns, which is actually a nice reflection of the reality of being brought up in an insular and prejudiced society. Hitch has arrived to arrest them both, but he fails to very quickly and the girls run away. As they escape, Izzy explains that the unicorns used to have magic, but they don't anymore. And she also reveals her own learned prejudice about the Earth ponies, and admits how what she was taught was wrong. Sunny all of a sudden comes to the conclusion that they need to go to Zephyr Heights to find the Pegasus ponies and find out what happened to the magic. She's just in a wacky random mood today because she could have done that years ago. Meanwhile, Hitch goes out looking for Sunny and the unicorn and leaves that loser Sprout in charge, who very quickly gets drunk on power. The girls find themselves being chased down by a Pegasus pony doing parkour in a random canyon. They're just as surprised to see her as she is to see them, but she runs away as the Pegasus guards come to apprehend the two of them. They stick a tennis ball on Izzy's horn and take the two to see the Queen. Somehow, the Pegasus ponies have technology far in advance of the Earth ponies and the unicorns. This is never explained. The Queen is horrified to see a unicorn and an earth pony in her kingdom and sends them to the very luxurious dungeon. Meanwhile, Sprout sings a song to send the ponies into a panicked and hateful frenzy, setting up for, well, pretty much all-out war against unicorns and Pegasi. He's literally just terrified himself and creates mass hysteria. The pony from earlier, who turned out to be a princess, comes to visit them in the dungeon, and she reveals that the Pegasi have no magic either. She frees the two of them and shows them to some place that seemingly used to be a station, with proof that all the pony races used to live in harmony. The stained glass reveals that there are crystals for the unicorns and the Pegasus ponies. Sunny immediately comes to the conclusion that they just need to put these crystals together to bring magic back, which is a hell of an assumption to make about something she only just learned about, but it's good enough for Zip and Izzy, who stage a heist with her to steal the Pegasus crystal. It just so happens to be part of the Queen's crown. During Princess Pip's performance, they steal it from the crown by stealth, but Hitch is caught up with the girls and chases them, trying to arrest them. This ruins the concert and blows everyone's cover. They go on the run and a furious Pip catches up to them. Of course, all of this could have been avoided had Zip just carefully swapped the crown for Izzy's decoy one and left stealthily with Izzy and Sunny instead, but never mind. Meanwhile, Sprout and the gang are making a super weapon to defend against an attack that isn't coming. Now united for really no particular reason, all 5 of the ponies run away from Zephyr Heights and head to Bridalwood, the land of the unicorns, to find the second crystal. They have a campfire together and everyone starts being friends, realising the other races weren't so bad after all. It's revealed that Izzy was the one who found Sunny's note all that time ago, which is super cute actually, I really like that. They make it to the unicorn forest only to find that it's rather dark and uninviting. Izzy's house is right there though, and it's very colourful and fun. Before they go into town though, they decide the others need disguises, so Izzy sings a really great little song about how they're going to make fake unicorn horns, and in fact fit right in. The unicorns are revealed to be a load of miserable, superstitious crazies. Izzy shows them to a tea shop where the guy running it collects crystals. He might have the one they're looking for. Lo and behold, he did, but the big idiot lost it in a bet to this big fat jerk. Sunny tries to win the crystal back from him by playing Dance Dance Revolution. Yeah. She loses the first half, but then she suddenly gets good. Because Pip just tells her to. Nice. She wins, but she loses her disguise, so the unreasonable jerk says she loses by default. The main ponies run away only to find the Queen in the forest. How she knew to find her daughters here is never explained. The Queen and the gambler start fighting over the crystal, and Sunny out-yells them and gets them to allow her to put the crystals together. Of course, it doesn't work, and Sunny just kind of mopes on off back home. After some time feeling sorry for herself, she finds that her old nightlight has a crystal in it, and she works out that this must be the Earth Pony crystal. Somehow. Just as she's about to tell Hitch about her discovery, it's revealed that Sprout has made himself into a military general prepared for all-out war. Well, more terrorism actually, since he's planning to come and attack the other ponies completely unprovoked. And he's taking his ragtag army and the war machine to Bridalwood. Sunny runs ahead to warn them and finds her friends somehow all still there. Were they all just standing there all day, or did they go and get dinner, or what? As Sprout is now on the warpath chasing after them, Sunny takes the crystals back to her house with the idea of putting all 3 together. She says this will stop Sprout, but I don't really see any reason why it would. Regardless, all the friends band together to help Sunny do this, even as her house is being destroyed by this complete lunatic. The fighting and struggling continues, but eventually they manage to put all 3 crystals together, and it doesn't work again. Seriously. Sunny's house is now completely bulldozed for nothing. Sunny suddenly works out that it's not about the crystals, but it's just about everyone being friends. That's what real magic is. She shouldn't really trust her hunches anymore, given the previous assumptions were wrong, but this one is right. Somehow. Despite the fact that no further ponies have been convinced to be friends than before. Sunny just saying this fixes everything and gives everyone their magic back. Not just the nice ponies either, everyone. All the prejudiced and mean ponies who learned nothing get the reward for being exactly the same as before. It makes no sense at all, but Sunny has wings and a horn now, so buy our toys, the end. This film is beautifully animated. It looks so pretty all the time, and I love it for that. The story starts quite well if you ignore the ties to the G4 show, and I love the characters and their voice actors. They feel so much more grounded and modern than the very wacky caricatures of the previous films. The songs are great, and in all, it's by far the best production of all of pony history, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. The film really drops the ball in the last half hour. The resolution is not very satisfying at all. I think one more story edit could have saved it. But alas, this is what we have. It's really cute and I do like it a lot. Perfect, it is not. It would have been better if the bad part was the beginning, But when films end on the weakest part of the story, it of course leaves you with a less positive opinion than if the ending had been the high point.
Magic is not very safe. At least not for the rest of us ponies who don't have it. Right, Sheriff Hitch?
Moving on now to our most recent pony film, Make Your Mark. This is a direct sequel to the previous film, but instead is a 44-minute Netflix special. And I use this word loosely, story starts with Zip flying around enjoying her newfound powers. Despite the fact that she lived in the palace, she's sneaking through a window to go and steal something from there. As one of the friends, I genuinely don't know whose voice it is, tells her to hurry and be careful. It turns out the crew is just doing a live stream and Zip was stealing something Pip already owned and told her to retrieve. Okay. Sunny nervously does the live stream about how pony racism has ended, basically because the magic is back. Okay then. She then announces, drumroll please, a festival! This time it's just a town fair. But that is now almost every single story that starts with a festival or a party of some kind. Stupidly, a seagull steals Pip's phone and they all give chase until they end up breaking some grouchy pony's yard. She goes off on one about how much she hates magic. The main crew is like yeet skeet and go back to their new home. Why do they all live together? Oh, to understand that, you have to have watched the YouTube shorts that are animated in a totally different style. Okay then, this point onwards, things get random. Izzy wants to fix Sunny's lantern, everyone's making pizza for some reason, and Sunny can't figure out her random alicorn power-ups. All the main cast is like really super bummed about that one pony's comments, so they keep talking on and on and on about it, about how they're going to show her how awesome magic is. Like, guys, get over it. This isn't surprising. Zip gets a random video call from her mum who tells her she needs to move back home to prepare for her future as queen. Okay, so why did you let her leave in the first place, Mum? Then some ponies fall out of the sky while flying, and then the main cast makes some crummy wreaths for festival decorations, some reason. Zip goes to Hitch, who's just sitting around at the station doing nothing. She starts to tell him about the ponies falling out of the sky, and then she decides not to. After this, she leaves, and he gets a call to go to the beach, to mediate a fight about whether or not a sandcastle was wrecked by magic. Okay then. Zip actually spies on this fascinating situation, and briefly her own flying magic glitches out like it did on those randos earlier. She goes to stand watch of the magic crystals to see if they glitch. Hitch eventually leaves the kids on the beach, having failed to mediate, and on his way back finds an egg washed up on the beach. Now you might think he'd wait to see if the mother came back, but no. My man's just straight up steals it immediately. He stuffs it in a locker at work, and then Posy, the grouchy pony, she comes to whine to him about something. Pip plans her song for the festival, and Hitch makes it back to the house to eat some cake. Zip's still standing by the crystals, and because the other girls are playing with their food, something happens to the crystals and some green stuff appears somehow. She tries to show the others and tells them the magic is having some issues right now, but no one believes her. For no reason. Why would Zip make this up? Pip has a salon now, for some reason, and sings a crummy song to Zip to basically chill out, dude. After this doesn't work, then more ponies crash land. Posy's suddenly just there and goes off on another anti-magic rant. Although honestly, after all the crash landing, she has a point. Zip works out from this the glitches are caused by ponies not getting along, which is the same thing the rocks have always needed to function, so how the hell did they ever even start to work again at the end of the movie? The big solution is the same as it was before this less than mind-blowing discovery. Just make the party super awesome! Izzy gives the repaired lantern to Sunny. It's totally just a different thing. And then the party starts with ponies saying the wreaths suck, which they do, so more whining and arguing, more magical bad weather, repeat, and then more glitches happen. A tornado thunderstorm thing starts brewing just before Pip can put on her show, and ponies start yelling and arguing until the magic just, gives out again. This time though, rather than just stopping magic working, a giant freaking black hole appears in the ground and sucks everyone into it. If this is what happens, surely the black hole should have been around before when the crystals were kaput. Anyhow, Sunny uses her bestie magic to turn into an alicorn and save the ponies who fell into the gaping hole. Because of this, and absolutely nothing else, the magic all returns, and this time with some neon green stuff. All of a sudden, for the first time ever, Earth ponies have magic powers too. This is because, and I quote, "When we work together, we can invent new magic." Okay then. All the Earth ponies are chill now. They were literally just a bunch of jealous saddos. The Queen comes to tell Zip to go home. She's like, no, I'm a detective now. Mom's like, okay, for no reason. Hitch's egg hatches to reveal a baby dragon, and finally, Posey asks Pip to sing her song. Rather than finally hearing this, though, after all the build-up, we cut to an edgy pony OC Do Not Steal somehow watching the ponies and cackling maniacally. The end. This film is awful. It takes everything you liked about the previous movie and throws it into the trash. This trash is then taken to the dump and left to rot for a few years. Then it's presented to you. If you want to hear any more of my tearing this garbage to shreds, you can see my review here. I'm not saying anything more about it. And that's it. I literally watched every single one of them, so you don't have to. Let's finally rank all of them. This ranking isn't based on reasoning, it's just based on my overall joy or lack of joy when I was watching them. Number 1 is definitely the G5 movie. It's by such a wide margin the best animated. It introduces new characters, actually has a plot, good songs, and the jokes land. Number 2 is the 2017 MLP The Movie. It has plenty of flaws, all of which I pointed out, but it still has an adventure, characters we all like, and very pretty backgrounds and expressive animation. Number 3 is sadly where we already start getting into the bad ones. It's a tough call to make, and I'm surprised to say it, but I think Rescue at Midnight Castle was the least boring of the rest of these films. Number 4 has to be Escape from Katrina for the same reasons. Number 5 is Rainbow Road Trip. This film is just so overlong and boring, but once again, it does have the characterful ponies we all know and love. Number 6 is where I can't say for sure where things should be placed, but I think I'll put the G1 movie here. This film is a bore, don't get me wrong, but it is hand-drawn, and someone at least put the effort into making the smoos look, goopy. Number 7 is the G5 Make Your Mark special. This is such a bad film, and I've said everything I can about it in other videos. For the downgrade alone from its previous film, it should really be in dead last. But it was actually not the most boring, so it gets the second to last spot. Number 8, and the most dull of them all, sadly, is Princess Promenade. It's sad because the backgrounds are all really pretty, and it's all about ponies, but it's just so boring that you find that you don't care. I had to really force myself to watch this more than the other bad films on the list. So that is it. That's the ranking. Those are the films. Let me know in the comments below, please, what you think to all of these, how you'd rank them, or even if you have watched these. And of course, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to give it a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.